old for doggo drinking water, probably making little slurpy sounds, Doggo cam. Doggo on the bed over there, doggo on the bed over there, doggo. TMS, what is it? Transcranial, I'm gonna get this right. Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation. And if you are ADHD and or autistic and you have struggled with depression, then my experience with TMS might be relevant to you, so stay tuned. Like many neurodivergent people, my whole life I always felt something is wrong. And then there was a lot of masking, trying to adjust, trying to change myself. And then there was trauma and school and my parents and So depression and mood stability has always kind of been a thing. Peg, I am trying to make a YouTube video.
But no, I have to be the center of your universe, always.
And I've tried so many meds, all the meds, self-medicated with alcohol, went to rehab, so many therapists. I've always been a good sport about therapy. But I came to a point where I was like, I'm medicated out, I am therapied out, I'm hitting some sort of brick wall, and I really wanted to start looking at things more neurochemically. And so I just got on the internet and I was looking at alternative solutions and came across TMS, and came across that TMS was covered by my insurance. At this point, I really didn't care what it was. I was like, I'll try anything. The doctor's like, do you have any question? And I was like, nope, zap me. But is it zapping? So let's go on the journey. I went to Active Path in Portland, Oregon. If you're looking into this, you can see what TMS clinics are covered by your insurance, whatever your situation may be. This is the one that was available to me. So first I had a consultation. And one of the first things that they wanted to know was, how much shit have you already tried to deal with your depression? And I was like, ha! What haven't I tried? They wanted medication records, and I'm crazy about my records. I was like, here you go. Enjoy my autistic quality, perfectly organized records. And then they also wanted to know about my relationship with alcohol. And at this time, I was on an upswing with alcohol use. I had a really bad alcohol problem, and then I went to rehab and became a successful casual drinker. It was a moderation program that was called Renova in Plano, Texas, that program. And my relationship with alcohol since has never even come close to what it was. Shit worked. But at this point, one of the reasons I was looking into things like TMS is because all of the efforts that I had been trying to get my shit together were starting to slip again, and I was starting to medicate the unpleasant feelings with alcohol again. And during my TMS consultation, they told me that I had to be completely abstinent from alcohol for 3 months. And I was like, no. But if somebody tells you you need to quit drinking and your reaction is no, then you definitely need to quit drinking or consider it. Everybody's got a different personal situation. But at this point, I had just tried so many things and I didn't want alcohol to be my solution. So I was like, if I gotta fucking quit drinking, I gotta quit drinking. Done it before, I can do it again. And I did. Now, one of my primary social activities every Thursday night is I go to Star Trek trivia, and it is at a bar. We would drink beer, and so I had to tell my bartender buddy, you can't give me booze. But I discovered athletics, non-alcoholic beer. It's fantastic. I still get it, even though I don't need to stop drinking anymore. Also, during my consultation, they told me that if during the 3 months, probably after a month and a half or so, that if I really feel like I need the treatment, that they could go to bat for me. The 3 months is really mostly to satisfy the insurance. Be like, we want to make sure you're really serious about dealing with your issues. And if you're not serious enough to quit drinking, then you're not serious enough to get the possible benefit out of TMS, something like that. I don't know. Medical stuff is messed up, and they have to create some sort of barrier of entry because of limited resources. So this was the barrier. And at about the month and a half point in, I tanked. Not tanked as in drank. I successfully stopped drinking for the qualifying period all the way through the treatment. But emotionally, I was like, I can't live like this for one more fucking day. So I sent the emails and made the phone calls that I needed to make, got a rush order, and I ended up getting into treatment. I quit drinking on my 37th birthday, which was July 9th. So it was July when I did the consultation. And treatment started. My initial TMS mapping was on September 12th. So that's how long it went from I've decided I'm committed to doing this to my first day. And that mapping day wasn't ideal. Let's now look at the definition of what TMS is. Transcranial Magnetic Stimulation, TMS, is a non-invasive form of brain stimulation in which a changing magnetic field is used to induce an electric current at a specific area of the brain through electromagnetic induction. An electric pulse generator or stimulator is connected to a magnetic coil connected to the scalp. The stimulator generates a charging electric current within the coil, which creates a varying magnetic field, inducing a current within a region in the brain itself. In layman's terms, the reward system in our brains is a bunch of neurochemicals, and when you're depressed or have a mood disorder, those chemicals are not operating within optimal parameters, and TMS stimulates the parts of the brain that need it. Basically goes, make the happier, more balanced stuff happen, and the brain goes, okay, sounds good. I don't know. Now, I was told repeatedly that this is not painful. It's not like shock therapy. They're like, you feel it, it feels weird, but it's not torture. Cut to... It really isn't. It shouldn't be. This was actually a good self-advocacy experience on my part because for a lot of autistic people, we are told that things don't hurt and aren't uncomfortable even though they hurt us and we're really uncomfortable. And when we say we're hurt or uncomfortable, we get a lot of feedback that we're too sensitive. There's a lot of trauma with that in the autistic community. And so we have to kind of learn to stand up for ourselves and be like, yeah, I understand for you this wouldn't hurt, but for me it does. You know, I'm having a different experience with this than you might, and it's something that we have to practice. So apparently there's a lot of different machines that do TMS, and the particular facility that I went to had 2 different machines. They said the names of them a lot, but I don't remember. So when I sat in the first machine, I say first because spoiler alert, eventually we're going to move on to a different machine. This machine did not work out. I hope Potato Snarfling isn't making an annoying noise because he looks so happy right now. Doggo Cam. Look at the old man chewing on a doggo toy. He's old man, he doesn't play that much, so I'm really happy seeing him play like that. So the first part, the TMS mapping session, they put me like in position in the chair and they did this test. And basically the test, I think, is to see if they have the zappy thing in like the right position on your head. And it's kind of one of those like reflex tests where like they hit you with the bzz, and then if it's at the right spot, like your hand will twitch or something like that. So I had my arm positioned in this really specific way, and they got it where they wanted it, and, you know, asked me if I was ready to go, and they were like, all right, let's start the treatment. And it's like this buzzy, it feels like pressure. It feels like something tapping on your head. Actually, it was this side. So it feels like a hard tapping. And I can't remember what the intervals are, but it's something like it'll do it for like 20 seconds and then like a couple minutes pass and then it's like another 20 seconds. My ADHD makes it really hard for me to conceptualize time. So that might be way off. If somebody knows what the intervals are in the comments, go for it. But the idea is it's like zap, 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 pause, that, pause, that, pause, and it, something like that. Now, when they did this kind of mapping test to see how much electricity I can handle and all of that this first day, I could not handle it. It was so painful. It was torture. That tapping felt like electricity drilling into my skull. And I panicked because, like I said earlier, I've tried like every depression-y thing in the world, and I like just really 37 years old. I needed something to work. I needed to try something different that I'd never tried before. And the idea that I couldn't handle this just threw me into a panic. Like, what am I gonna do now? Another therapist, another medication, like another personal development book, another life hack, I'm tired, you know? And I really fell in love with the facility and how they handled this. Because first, there was like shock and dismay. Like, they'd also kind of told me that like different people react to the treatment differently. So there's been a wide array of reactions, but the particular reaction that I had was notably unusual. Like, I started crying. One of the things that they were mapping, one of the things that they were testing for was like the amount of power, the amount of juice. And forgive me, I'm going to use just sort of numbers that I don't know what they mean to sort of illustrate this point. I don't know if it's like voltage or percentage, but this framing gave me enough understanding of what was going on, so hopefully it will for you too. Basically, like if there was like a 100% power, the goal is for the bulk of the treatment to be at like 120. That's like the therapeutic level. So normally when people come in for this first mapping, they start you at like 70, 80, or 90, but the goal is to get you adapted to it so that you can handle 120 as quickly as possible. So my first session, like even 60, 70, was painful. So they were like, we're not really sure what we're gonna do. And then they ended up moving me to a different machine, like I foreshadowed earlier. The other machine, this is the machine that I ended up using. What's it called? The day something? Why do I want to remember the name of the machine? But anyway, this one didn't hurt. It was no problem. In fact, not only did it not hurt, but I actually jumped up to 120 really, really fast. Like in fact, above average fast with this machine as opposed to the other one. And I talked to the doctor. We were just kind of spitballing theories. I think there was something about that first machine, the exact positioning that hit the area that it was supposed to. I think I just happened to have like a nerve ending or something running that exact spot. You know, maybe if the machine had been moved ever so slightly left, right, or up and down, it wouldn't have been a problem. But, you know, we ended up finding the solution with the other machine, so who cares? So if you try TMS and you end up having a similar experience, you can be like, hey, maybe I need a different machine, or maybe there's this situation. We didn't decisively figure out that that's what was causing the issue, but that's just the thing that makes the most sense to us. So what you'll notice about this picture is first that I'm awesome and that I'm wearing a Cyberpunk 2077 shirt because in Cyberpunk rules. But I've got a mouth guard and a fan. So when the machine goes bzz, it can make you grind your teeth. And I already know that I have a tooth grinding issue. So I already happen to have a night guard, but they did have like disposable mouth guards that you could put in, but they were not as comfortable. So I brought my own. I also have a little fan because I think that office in particular was really warm, but like having this electric device on your head is also pretty hot. And it does have like an airflow unit inside of it to deal with that. But if you're really temperature sensitive, which I am, probably a good idea to bring a fan. I brought a fan every time. I also, you can see there's a pillow behind me. That was the thing that kind of sucked. The first machine was much more like, almost like a dentist chair. It was much more set up. Like it was all one thing. There was the head thing and the chair thing was all one unit, it seemed like. But this was like almost like a hair salon, hair dryer thing where you put in your own chair, and it was like an office lobby chair. Inadequate comf levels for me, so they gave me another pillow that I could put on my lumbar area. I really wanted to bring my own pillows, but it was kind of a schlep to get over there because it was pretty far away from where I live. I had to take the bus every day. It was like 2 hours of travel for 30 minutes of treatment, which leads to probably something I should have mentioned earlier, but let's mention it now. My TMS treatment was 36 sessions. So it started on, like I said earlier, September 12th, and it ended on October 31st. So this was a month and a half of get up in the morning, take the dogs out, take the bus to the treatment center, do the thing for 30 minutes, take the bus back. So that was my day from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day, every weekday, 36 times. When I first started investigating this and they were like, there's going to be a bunch of sessions, I don't know why I didn't ask. I just thought like, oh, maybe it's going to be like 6, maybe it's going to be like a week. It doesn't matter because, you know, I don't have a job I have to go to every day, so I can figure it out. And then it wasn't until we were actually scheduling it, they're like, okay, here are all your scheduled times. And there was this big long list and I was like, what? And then because it was covered by my insurance, but I had to take the bus, I had to go get a bus pass that my insurance could put bus money on. And it was just like, it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain in the ass. But I kind of miss it now. A month and a half, you get acclimated to stuff. You know, I got used to seeing all those people every day. There was a coffee shop that I started going to. I was really sad because my last day there, my coffee shop guy wasn't there and I didn't get to say bye to him. My daily TMS tech guy, the guy who zapped my brains every day, happened to be sick my last day. So I never got to officially say goodbye. I did get everybody donuts though. from the coffee shop. It's so far away. Nothing's going to bring me to that part of town again, probably ever. So once we started rolling at that 120 area, rolling a D120, that's not what I mean. I felt changes fast, like suspiciously fast. Being ADHD, having a history of mood swings, I was like, is this the treatment or is this just one of my hypomania cycles, which I do tend to have. I hadn't really had one in a long time at this point. I'd been pretty depressed for a while. And my doctor had been like, let us know if you are going into a hypomania episode, because we might be pushing too far the wrong direction. And I was like, to be honest with you, hypomania has been a part of me for so long that it's really hard to say if it's like, honestly, like when this hypomania bout started at the beginning of treatment, I was like, I just want to enjoy it. I have felt so shitty for so long. And I've had hypomania. If you don't know what hypomania is, like what's the difference between hypomania and being in a good mood? Hypomania is like being in a good mood that feels like disproportionate and like you're on drugs, but you aren't on any drugs. But similar to being drunk, you can kind of go like, okay, this isn't the greatest movie in the world. This isn't the, love of my life. I'm hypomanic right now. Like the way that you can be like, I'm drunk, I'm high right now. Like you can intellectually put in perspective what's happening. Don't make any big decisions when you're in this state. Careful on social media, careful what texts you send. It's like being drunk, Only it's not like being drunk because it's very clear, it's very sharp. It feels like there's a roaring fire inside of you. I think the two primary differences between a hypomanic state versus a manic state is that, like I said, you haven't like lost your mind. And also, I think that they're much, much shorter. My hypomania cycle is like 4 days tops. It's usually only like 1 or 2 days. So once that started to sort of level off, I hit another like little mini low after that, and then it raised up and sort of stabilized. I was prepared for the low before it happened, because while I was in the hypomanic state, I was like, and sort of trailing out of that, I was like, you can't expect that this is what post-TMS life is going to stay. At first, you barely started the treatment, so it's probably just one of your normal cycles. And also, you can't expect a treatment like this to just make all the sad feelings go away. That's where sort of the therapy stuff comes into play. Because there's the neurochemistry stuff that's happening, and then there's the way that you're thinking about the neurochemistry stuff that's happening. And you have to keep an eye on both. Something really important for my ADHD autistic brain that I learned during this time is how important it is for me to have a thing that I get up and go do in the morning. I have this teeter-totter in my brain at all times where on one hand, I'm pathologically demand avoidant and highly traumatized by years upon years of being told to do things or being told I need to do things that are incompatible with my brain and who I am. But at the same time, if I don't have any structure, then I don't do anything. I think of my ADHD attention as being like, it's like a liquid or like, it's like a beverage. If I'm holding a glass with a beverage in it and able to drink it, that's the equivalent of me being able to focus my attention on doing something. My beverage needs a glass that I can hold and pick up and drink. If it's not in a glass, it is a spill. It's a puddle all over the floor. You can't drink a puddle, at least not comfortably. And I feel like that glass that's containing the beverage is like pressure containing my attention. So if I get up in the morning and think, I want to record a video today, I don't feel like it, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. But right now, I'm recording this video before I have therapy at 2 o'clock, which means there's pressure. I have to get this video recorded before therapy. That pressure puts my attention in a glass so I can drink it. So that was another thought that crossed my mind. Is it the TMS that's working? Or is it just having this routine that I get up and go do every day? My big hobby hyperfixation the past few months has been modding and making things out of Cyberpunk 2077. Published my first mod, official modder on the Nexus. That was a big deal. That was a big project. And I tend to struggle a lot with big projects, getting them done. But having that routine of going to TMS every day, what would happen was I'd sit on the bus and I would text people and I'd look stuff up and I'd be thinking about the stuff that I wanted to be working on when I got home. And that being withheld from doing the thing that I wanted to do kind of built up dopamine or whatever, so that when I got home, I was motivated to do the thing because I've been waiting all day to get home and do this thing, and stuff got done. My last day of treatment was Halloween, October 31st. So here I am on my last day, wearing my Halloween Hell of a Boss shirt. Still got my little fan. So now I've had a few weeks to sort of reflect and see what stuck. And by the way, I mentioned in a previous video that I may want to talk about Extraordinary Attorney Woo. That's the show that I was watching every day at treatment. I've got a really cute story about one of the days we were watching that show that I'll save for another video, so stay tuned. And here's what I can say has been different and what hasn't been different. The most dramatic difference, and it was honestly the thing I needed the most, is since doing TMS, I have found it is much, much easier to get myself to do things I don't feel like doing. Like this very video is the kind of thing that I would have gone, I don't want to do it before. When I did my autism assessment, I thought this would be a great thing to make a video about, tell people what my assessment was like, but I just kept putting it off and it never got done. I've restructured my idea in my head of how the concept of time blocking can work for me. That also would be a good topic for its own video. I have a lot more self-efficacy. I would say that there's a feeling of emptiness that has lifted, which is probably a combo platter of the treatment plus the stuff I've been doing with Cyberpunk. When I was making videos before, I put so much pressure on those videos because I don't think I really understood how much I felt like nothing if I wasn't making videos. Like even the name of my channel is Lindsay Makes Videos because it was like my whole identity. But now I feel a lot more like the things I do are just things that I do, not who I am. But nothing's perfect, and I will admit that something that the TMS has not helped me with as much as I hoped it would is social anxiety stuff. I'm not even sure if social anxiety is the right word for, that's kind of a blanket catch-all term for people who have social struggles, social anxiety. I don't feel like I'm experiencing an anxiety socially as much as just lack of connection. I have a hard time making conversations with people catch fire. So now I think that my social issues are gonna have to be unpacked and dealt with in another arena than this. But because the TMS has helped me do things I don't want to do and put effort into things, I think that will help me deal with the problems that it didn't solve because of the overall self-efficacy increase. So I think that if you are ADHD and or autistic and you feel like you have tried every antidepressant type of thing in the book, that this is definitely something worth exploring. It does require you go somewhere every day for 36 sessions, so that's definitely something you'd have to figure out how to do depending on what your situation is. And I guess to wrap up, don't lose hope, don't be ashamed. If you just have to try a lot of different things. Like this culture has so many different layers of shame when it comes to the things that we try to do for our mental health and for personal development. It's either shameful that you need help and you can't get your shit together, or it's shameful that you're always on the treatment of the week and, she's always trying to do all these meditation retreats and all of these things because she's not dealing with the real problem. There are so many moving parts when it comes to mental health. And nobody can see all the parts except for you, and a lot of the times we can't even see our own moving parts that well. I just want to throw that out there at the end. And if you have any other questions about TMS, or there was something about it that I didn't touch on that you want to hear me talk about, please let me know in the comments. I didn't write a script for this, so maybe I missed something that is glaring. And some quick housekeeping about the Caleb t-shirt. So if you watched my Caleb Big Mouth video, I had a Caleb t-shirt that was really funny, and it has sold a few, but I picked sort of a cheap printing option because I wanted to keep the price really low, but the quality of the shirt just wasn't that great, and somebody requested a refund recently because the printing on the shirt wasn't very good, and I agreed, so I gave her the refund, took that shirt down, and just released a new version of it that has that's slightly more expensive, but it's better made. I just ordered my own sample of it, and once it comes in, I'll wear it in a video so you can see the new version of it. So just wanted to let you know about that. There's also a version of it that's yellow now because I am very antsy about all white t-shirts. I'm like, I'm gonna put a spot on it, it's gonna get a stain, so I wanted a version of it that wasn't just all white. So yeah, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. I hate doing that scripted shit. You know the deal. You know it'll help me if you hit the like button. You know it'll help me if you subscribe. So if you feel the need, great. And if not, fine then. And that's it. End transmission.
My safety doesn't rely on everyone liking me. My safety doesn't rely on everyone liking me.